Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Che Noir, and today I'm gonna hit y'all with a review of the new Che Noir album entitled Food for Thought. Let's get to it. Alright, so Che Noir is a rapper and producer hailing from Buffalo, New York, who was signed to 38 Special's Trust Gang music group. Now in 2020, Che Noir had dropped her debut album, As God Intended, which was produced entirely by Apollo Brown. It was one of the better projects to have been released that year, ultimately making it into my top 3 albums of 2020. She also had an EP towards the end of the year where she showcased some of her production skills. But in 2021, she was relatively quiet on the music front outside of some guest features, and this was largely due to the personal tragedy that she experienced with the loss of her brother. This new project, Food for Thought, was highly anticipated for the latter part of 2021, but now is finally here. It contains 12 tracks and lasts approximately 34 minutes. On the production front, we have Che handling the bulk of the beats, with additional production coming from Cartoon Beats, Tricky Trips, Chup, and J.R. Swifts. In terms of the features, Che enlisted Rome Streets, Love the Genius, Armani Caesar, Ransom 38 Special, and Jinx 716. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with this track by track breakdown. The first track, Eat to Live, is an intro where Che introduces the theme or concept of the album, which is food for thought and eating to live. Here Che breaks down what she is trying to get across on this album over a mellow and meditative instrumental from Cartoon Beats. Track 2, Split the Bread, is a highlight from this album, both lyrically and production-wise. This has a haunting soundscape by Tricky Trips with scratching on the hook, a ghostly vocal harmony, and melancholy keys. Che sets this off with a blend of thoughtful jewels and sharp braggadocio. She wisely states, "Sometimes the fastest route can never bring meaning." Then there's the very pointed, "Bitch, I rap better than these dudes, don't compare me. These bars give you food for thought, that shit like commissary." And also there's the very clever but sinister, "The rap game left blood on my hands, so bitch, I'm finger painting." Overall, it was a great way to kick this album off, as I feel it has all the ingredients that make up a dope hip-hop record. Track 2, Eat to Starve, has a gritty and sped up guitar loop that I'm kind of on the fence about, although I will say there's a certain rawness to it that I could appreciate. This features a verse from Jinx 716, who Che has collaborated with frequently before, and I learned a fun fact that he is actually from Niagara Falls. I never knew that, I just assumed he was from Buffalo. On this record, the two talk about praising the grind, getting it out the mud, and never having it easy. Che also mentions her brother's passing with the lines, "Rest in peace to my brother and all my friends who died. They talk to me in my sleep, only time that I get good advice." As a whole, good lyricism, but just an okay beat, in my opinion. What we have next is the Daily Bread skit, which contains children saying a blessing before dinner. This is followed up by Bless the Food. Here we are getting a wholesome boom bap beat from Che that has a slight epic feel. There's a motivational and uplifting quality to the production, and also Che's lyricism, where she talks about the benefits of prayer, having faith, and focusing on her goals. She's speaking about turning her struggles into a hustle and building an empire from it. Che also gives out some level-headed observations and good advice, like never trust a team member that always agree with you, or a grown-ass woman that's trying to beef with you, or 40-plus dudes still trying to be street dudes. Track 6, Ladies Brunch, is another standout from the album. This is a posse cut from 3 female MCs out of Buffalo who are in high demand: Che Noir, Love the Genius, and Armani Caesar. We are getting a dark and orchestral beat from Che that has strong mafioso vibes. I think it's one of the best beats that she provided on the project. Che sets it off with a fierce and competitive verse, and she states, "Best rapper alive, shit, I'm better than the dead ones too." Damn. Now, if that isn't some bold confidence. She goes on to say, If I ain't in your top 5, this shit is blasphemy. Y'all giving crowns to dude that's scared to rap with me. So obviously, Shay is in her bag, talking her talk, but I wonder who she is speaking about in particular. Now, Love the Genius had a fire verse as well. Perhaps she didn't have as many striking one-liners as Shay, but from a technical aspect, she really killed it. So it was a toss-up between the two as far as who had a better verse. As far as Armani Caesar's performance, I thought she sounded good enough, but not good enough to be going last. Clearly, Shay and Love the Genius are on a different level lyrically than Armani. The following song, Praises, has a cinematic but repetitive trance-like boom bap beat from Chuck. Here, Shay talks about overcoming the struggle and her plans to go down as one of the greatest. She speaks on how the pain in her life over the course of the last year has led her to write on the level of Shakespeare. As a whole, I felt this was a cool track, but the beat could have used another layer perhaps, or just a slight change up. Afterwards is the single Table for Three, which features the 3 heavyweights over at Trust Gang label, Shay, Ransom, and 38 Special. Some have labeled them the new firm. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind if the 3 of them decided to make an official project like the Firm album. But for this track, we have Shay on the boards, who provides a solid mid-tempo piano beat with a faint vocal sample. For some reason, this beat sounds like it could have been produced by Royce da 5'9". I was just getting that Allegory era feel to the production. So with this record, you had a complete bar fest. There was a lot of quote-worthy bars and lines to recite from these top-tiered MCs. In the comment section, let me know who y'all thought had the dopest verse. For me, it was Ransom, but I like 38 Specials a lot too. Next is Gold Cutlery, which was also produced by Shay. And here we are getting a mellow and dreamlike synth instrumental with faint hi-hat. On this one, Shay is dropping some gems in a very serious, circumspect, and reflective way. I thought Shay's second verse really stood out as it was very poetic and well-crafted. This also featured Rome Streets on the hook, who definitely brought some life to the record. What comes right after is Brains for Dinner, which was set to a punchy and nocturnal boom bap beat from J.R. Swift's with some scratching on the hook. As a whole, it contains some of Shay's most aggressive and venomous lyrics on this project, as she was in complete battle mode, demonstrating why she's such a fierce and formidable MC. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks, from the beat to Shay's delivery and just her sadistic bars. The second to last track is Water to Wine Skit, which features some motivational words over a soothing and soulful backdrop from cartoon beats. Then the project comes to a conclusion with the heartfelt track Communion, where Shay pours out her pain over a somber, church-like instrumental. It contains some of the deepest introspection that I've heard from Shay to date, even though she's no stranger to that type of content. She speaks on battling depression, going to therapy, having been enrolled in special education classes as a child, trauma, and coping with the loss of her brother and friends. The lines about losing her brother are very vivid and poignant. It's definitely something that is going to resonate with you if you've ever lost someone close to you tragically and unexpectedly. The whole not being able to sleep during the night is a real thing. All in all, it was a great song that ended this project on a very sad and reality-based note. Overall, I give this project a rating of 4 mics. Throughout the album, Shay demonstrated why she is one of the most revered MCs on the underground scene. I think she did a great job of working the food for thought theme into track titles and the subject matter, as it made for a very cohesive and topically focused listen. And obviously her bars, whether the boastful kind or the level-headed serious ones, were a highlight on this album. You gotta respect her confidence levels as well. And this is something that I noticed about other Trust Gang artists, whether we're talking about Ransom or 38 Special, is they're all ultra confident in their abilities as MCs, but they can definitely back it up. So when talking about the production, I thought it was mostly dope, but there were some beats that held my attention a little more than others. There were some high highs on the production front, no doubt, but a couple of beats that I found to be just serviceable. Now, fortunately, Che and her guests made the just okay beats work due to their stellar lyricism. Obviously, it's hard to top the production that we got on Apollo Brown's As God Intended, but I feel this is still a strong follow-up to her 2020 album, and it showcases her growth as a songwriter and displays her continued commitment and resiliency to bounce back after difficult losses. I'm just glad that she was able to put her pain in the booth and release this project. My favorite tracks include Split the Bread, Bless the Food, Ladies Brunch, Table for Three, Brains for Dinner, and Communion. Let me know what you thought about this album in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Che Noir, food for thought. 1.